Alright. So, I've seen Black Adam, saw it the first chance I could get, and if you know me, you'll know why. But I'm not just here to talk about that after credits scene. And no, right now, I'm not going to be disclosing any spoilers for this film. Not until we get to the spoiler section later in the video, and I will give you ample warning. But for now, you're safe. Let's just go right ahead with this.
Tell me, did you subscribe? You will. And you'd better not forget to hit that like button as well. This video is not sponsored by Wayne Enterprises or LexCorp, so check out the Patreon link in the description below and consider making a monthly pledge. Men are still good.
Black Adam was a film that I was sort of intrigued by. I found its self-serious promotional campaign to be pretty laughable. The hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change thing was just really funny. But I liked the way the JSA was shaping up to be, and I thought, hey, if it's a film that's priding itself on its action and is kind of moving things back in a more Man of Steel-y sort of direction, fine. I don't have a huge amount of investment in the character of Black Adam, nor do I have as much investment in, say, the JSA as I do the JLA. But also, with the DC Extended Universe's track record as of late, I thought things were looking up and maybe Black Adam would be another entry into that. Like, for example, we had Shazam, which was really good. We had Birds of Prey, which, while I didn't like it very much, it proved that the DCEU wanted to get better. We had Zack Snyder's Justice League. We had The Suicide Squad. We had Peacemaker. We had Wonder Woman 19... Actually, no, the less said about that one, the better. It looked as though the era of DC movies introducing unearned team-ups with characters we're not familiar enough with to care about, stakeless CGI-laden battles, and uncanny CGI humanoid villains was over. It looked like the DC Extended Universe had learned a lot, even if I didn't agree with the direction they were planning on taking it with the Flashpoint event in the upcoming Flash movie. Now think about those pitfalls we had with those previous DC Extended Universe films. Yeah, Black Adam falls into absolutely every one of them, and is as tonally confused as the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League. For the most part, up until the third act, I think the visuals are actually really solid, and kind of evoke a pseudo-Snyder kind of energy to them. But boy, is this script ever atrocious. The dialogue is a total clunker. The dialogue in this film feels like the characters are reading off brief synopses of the things that they are talking about, rather than actually discussing it in a way that people would actually say. There's a point where the main kid in this movie, whose name I just cannot remember, is like skateboarding up to the Intergang Security Patrol, and he basically is just like, well, you're a fascist organization that has been in place in this city for years, and you're tearing it apart and stuff, and he's basically just explaining to the audience what these characters are all about, and it is so ham-fisted, and there are so many instances of this in this film. Even times where it's just, you can see perfectly fine what's going on. Like, you could watch this movie with your eyes shut and still fully understand everything that's going wrong, because the expositional dialogue in this gives literally Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who a run for its money. The tone of this film is so confused. The film almost feels like a parody, because it sets itself up as being so self-serious, but then, like, I just couldn't help but find myself laughing at, like, the expositional dialogue. But then, like, whenever Black Adam is, like, slaughtering hordes of soldiers and people and stuff, it's done in this weirdly comedic way, sometimes set with like needle scratch music, and it's just so comedic. It's like a slapstick kind of comedy in places. Black Adam himself is a dumbass in this film. There's a scene where the little kid has just met Black Adam, and he's all like, oh yeah, you should be a superhero and have like an iconic costume and get a new name, and you could be on lunchboxes. And Black Adam just acts like Drax in these moments, taking everything incredibly literally for no reason. He takes on board the kid's advice to get a catchphrase, which is already oddly out of character for him, but then he like says it at the wrong time, and it's this big comedic thing, and there's like this whole foreshadowing thing with the catchphrase going on. It's literally the eat my hammer thing from Love and Thunder all over again. It's terrible there, it's terrible here. Then there's the JSA. What the hell? Cyclone I thought was fine, just a little half-baked. She didn't have a lot going on. Dr. Fate was completely wasted in this movie. He doesn't get a lot to do, and I will explain why that is so egregious once we get to the spoiler section. Hawkman was just, I don't know what he was trying to achieve in this film. For starters, Hawkman's got this whole objectivist sort of mindset, which is really hammered over your head. It's like, oh, you kill people, so you must be a villain, therefore we need to take you to Amanda Waller's prison. But also, like, his whole thing is, oh, Black Adam, you need to go back into slumber and stop being so destructive 1 minute, and the next he's like, man, I'm gonna donkey kick your daughter in the throat. Like, he's just egging him on constantly. He's a terrible superhero that doesn't for even a second try to understand the opposition that he's up against and is just constantly just being rude to him for no reason. There's plenty of times when Black Adam's like, we shouldn't fight. And Hawkman's just like, nah, look, man, you're going down. Like, I'm not even willing to listen to anything you have to say. And I get that that's a character flaw, but it's portrayed in a way that just makes Hawkman into such an idiot. Atom Smasher. Well, if you looked at his costume and felt they tried a little too hard to do the Deadpool thing, and I'm not going to hear the whole it looks like it does in the comics, because in the comics, it doesn't look that much like Deadpool, and in how they adapted this, it didn't need to look that much like Deadpool. Like, they didn't even need to go, like, so far as having, like, emoting eyes with fucking diamonds around them. But then he acts so Deadpool-y as well. Like, the whole bit where he's, like, trying to get the cars to stop, which admittedly did have me chuckling, but it's very Deadpool. The whole bit where he's, you know, coming to confront Black Adam and he's holding a bucket of fried chicken. And there's this little dynamic between him and Cyclone, and just none of it is earned. I don't know anything about these people, and the film cannot seem to focus on whether or not it wants the JSA to be the main characters or Black Adam. Like, 1 minute it's a film about JSA trying to take down Black Adam, the next is a film about Black Adam trying to coexist with the JSA. I feel like if they'd committed to this being a JSA film that would introduce the JSA properly and then have Black Adam as a villain, it would have been a lot better, but they're having to rush all of these unearned team-ups out there. And then there's the villain of this film, who's just like this descendant of a king that wants to take back his crown, and the crown's a constant MacGuffin throughout the film. And it's like, you got the whole common enemy kind of thing, you know? Like, there's the people of Kandak, and like, we get, like, you know, this woman and her son and her brother, and they can't decide whether or not they're tongue-in-cheek comedy characters, but they're kind of the people that Black Adam seeks to liberate, and they see him as their champion, their hero. And just the whole thing kind of plays out like, you know, Black Adam's like, oh, I kind of want to liberate this place from the oppressors, but I'm no hero. And then the JSA come in and they're like, yeah, you're no hero. You need to go back to your slumber. And then the people of Kandak are like, no, we love him. He's actually really great. And again, it's just like so tonally confused. Like there's this scene where they're having like a fight between Hawkman and Black Adam, and they're just constantly cutting to Dr. Fate just doing silly comedic stuff. Just on a whole, the script for this one is incredibly low quality, and it's like, but pup, you like Venom Let There Be Carnage, you've given like Batman and Robin the benefit of the doubt. Sure, those movies at least had some idea of what they wanted to do and wanted to achieve. This film's just confused. I'm fine with violent comedies in like superhero films, I'm fine with doing different genre stuff, fine, but this film just does not know what it wants to achieve, what kind of tone it wants to have, and that is a bad thing. The good in all this is that if you're going in hoping to see some action, you're gonna get that. There's plenty of action in this one, and the action is actually a lot of fun. But this movie is just incredibly try-hard. Like, if you want an idea of how try-hard this movie is, would you believe me if I told you there's a scene of Black Adam, like, fighting people set to Kanye West's Power? It feels like a G Fuel commercial. So, right, overall verdict for the non-spoiler section. This movie is really, really bad. And it is one of those films where I could ignore it much more easily until we got to the third act of the film. Great characters like Black Adam and the Justice Society of America are completely wasted on this film. It is a witless, logicless film, which brings the DC Extended Universe back to the era of 2016 Suicide Squad and the Joss Whedon Justice League, and it takes those tropes and wears them like a badge of honor. And I think the worst thing about this is because of that, because this film does everything to restore the DC universe back to everything that DC, through high quality films, had managed to distance themselves from. At this point, it just feels like DC doesn't want to get better. That the DC extended universe does not want to be good. So now we're going into the spoiler section because this is where most of my major gripes for this film are. So they kind of start with this historical flashback, kind of showing this kid going on to kind of become Black Adam, or so I thought. And I thought, okay, they're doing kind of the Shazam thing with this, hence why Black Adam is such a himbo. No, he's a fully grown adult, and like his son, he lost his son, and they have this flashback to where his son gets shot with this arrow, and it's done in such a slapstick comedic way. There's a moment where like the brother of the main woman in this film, again, I can't remember any of the normal people's names in this film, he's like shot in the gut and it's treated as this comedic thing. There's a moment in this film which I think is the perfect allegory for how Warner Brothers Discovery treats the DC universe. There's a bit where like Hawkman and Black Adam are fighting in this kid's room, and he's got all these DC posters up, and you're just seeing like Black Adam's fist going through like a poster of Batman and the Flash and Superman. I was like, yeah, that's kind of an allegory for like how they're treating this universe. The main villain gets his crown, goes to hell, and then like comes back as the Beelzebub from Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny. And we're back in the era of DC Extended Universe films doing fully CGI humanoid faces, which never looks good. We had it with Incubus, we had it with Steppenwolf, in the Whedon version that is, and now we're back to it with Beelzebub here, because I don't even know his name. And Dr. Fate like sacrifices himself, and like the whole reason for doing so is because he has this premonition of like, you know, his friends dying and stuff, and he decides I'll die in their place, and it's super half-baked as well, this whole plot here. It's just meaningless because we don't see any actual dynamic between him and the other characters, any reason why he should want to sacrifice himself to save them. Not to mention, it's a waste of a character that we can do so much more with. But then Dr. Fate's like, oh, I can't do this alone. I can't beat this guy all by myself. We're not enough to take him down. We need like the one person that can take him down, right? So, you know, like you could call Superman, or you could call the loose cannon that could go bad at any moment, Black Adam. And so he does. Also, I just want to point out, like, you know, inevitably you're going to run into the issue of why aren't other superheroes here if they exist in this universe? But this film constantly name drops the other superheroes, drawing big red rings about characters that aren't here. There's a point where they're like, oh, Batman and Superman aren't going to save us. Why? Why aren't they gonna save you? At least Superman, right? And we got another disposable army as well. He raises like these demons from hell kind of thing, and they can all be defeated using like sticks and like fire extinguishers and stuff. So there's absolutely no stake here. All the people of Kandak rise up and do these little triangle signs with their fingers, and then once Beelzebub is defeated, like all of the enemies go away, they turn into dust. But then at the end, they're like, oh, you should get a different name. And he's like, yes, I think I will get a different name. How about, and then it cuts to the title. I'm like, did they just Fantastic us? Like that, the ending is literally the ending of Fantastic. So then we have the after credits, which is actually, like, embarrassingly enough, the reason I went to see this film. The after credits. Why? Because Henry Cavill is back as Superman. This is the thing I've been asking for. If you've seen a lot of my videos on the DCEU, I've said you can't have the DC Extended Universe without a Superman. You can't have this without Henry Cavill Superman at the center of it. Why bury that? It's a good asset to have for your extended universe. And he appears under the thumb of Amanda Waller for some reason and confronts Black Adam, and yay. Okay, look, I'm happy to see Henry Cavill back as Superman. Believe me, I'm really grateful that he's back. But I have problems with this because he's back to a DC Extended Universe that is just back to all of its previous issues, all of the bad habits that it worked so hard to work out. Superman is back in a movie that proves that the DC Extended Universe does not want to get better. Now, I am also going to talk about the semantics a little bit. One, I am absolutely happy that Henry Cavill is back, okay? That is one of the things that makes this one of the better mid-credits moments, okay? Like, I'm happy he's back. We've got, you know, the centerpiece of the DC universe in place exactly where it should be. Great. Now, there was a lot of speculation. Is he going to wear the black suit, canonizing the Snyder Cut of Justice League? What theme music is he going to have? He's back in the blue suit. I don't mind that. The blue suit is Superman's costume, and the chances are, if, you know, the Snyder Cut is is canonized, he would probably go back to the blue suit eventually. I don't think they're going to do the whole Nightmare timeline, but you can still have the Snyder Cut canonized in the DC universe without doing all that stuff. And I'd never expect the black suit to be like a permanent fixture. Fine. Then there's his theme music, and this bothers me a little bit more. It's not enough to completely ruin this cameo for me, but it's another symptom. They're using the John Williams theme, and it's something that kind of tells me that the direction that they took this in the Whedon cut of Justice League is still kind of where they want to go with it. So rather than having a Superman that is an evolution of the character that was set up in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, they want to try and reverse engineer him into being a Christopher Reeve-esque Superman. Now, it's nowhere near as egregious here. His dialogue here is fine, and it is actually quite in line with the Batman v Superman version of Superman. I just think it's a dismissal of a great theme that Hans Zimmer brought to this Superman. Like, this Superman should be allowed to have his own iconography. I wouldn't want him brought back in Christopher Reeve's suit, so I don't want him brought back with Christopher Reeve's theme. That's the theme of that Superman. Henry Cavill's Superman has his own theme, and it's one of the best in superhero movies. It's one that complements the musical landscape of the DC Extended Universe, so why not use it? At this point, it's not even about the John Williams theme. The John Williams theme is a fantastic theme music, don't get me wrong. I think it's great, and I think it can fit the Henry Cavill Superman. But it's just this rejection of an integral part of this new version of the character that really bugs me. It is another symptom of the Whedon Johns version of this character and this universe. It's not enough to ruin it for me, but it's a symptom. And it's just, I feel I would be 10 times happier about the return of the Henry Cavill Superman if he were returning in a better film. With this film, we've got a hastily assembled team, just like we had in Suicide Squad 2016. We've got Nightmare timeline style stuff, just like we had in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, a film I liked, but DC's been trying to distance themselves from, so it makes no sense they're doing this here, not to mention doing a whole lot worse. We've got your CGI human face villain at the end of it, which just looks uncanny valley, just like we had in Suicide Squad and the Joss Whedon version of Justice League. Disposable demon army that can be defeated with absolutely no stakes whatsoever, just like in Suicide Squad 2016. Overall, Black Adam delivers on visceral action, but I just don't like this film. It's not very good. It's just set the DC Extended Universe back to mid-2016 to 2017, and that's not a good thing. If you just want to see this film, go see it. If you're 15 years old and are addicted to Mountain Dew, go see it. Just see the film for yourself, make your own assessments. You obviously don't have to agree with me, because apparently I hate fun, but like, yeah, this was a turkey. At this point, it's just like, Warner Brothers Discovery can just sink into the ocean at this point, you know. Of course, finish the Batman movies first, and, maybe do that Man of Steel 2. But please, for the love of God, do a good job of it. They need to look to Black Adam as like an indication of how the DC Extended Universe can still screw up. I just can't believe they're still repeating these mistakes. I say, you've made it to the end of the video! Congrats! No, but seriously, thanks a bunch for watching. And just now, I'll be extending a special thanks to the patrons in the $10 tier, who are the astonishing Adam Myers, the ever-so-kind King K, the limitless legendary Ray Ray, the marvelous Mr. SP, the spectacular Sergio, and the thunderous That Giordo, which is more evidence that I've really got to stop doing these alliteration adjectives. I gotta find another way to make you guys feel special. What an amazing and generous bunch of people. Thank you guys so much for your support. And if you want to join the ranks of these amazing people right here, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Guys, these are not the easiest times in the world financially, so every little bit you folks are donating is doing wonders. I really would love to be able to do YouTube as a proper fully fledged career someday. It might just be a pipe dream, but maybe you guys can prove some people wrong. But of course, if donations aren't your thing, then, well, it means plenty to me that you just hit that cute little subscribe button over there. I didn't mean hit that way. Well, that's me done for the day. Thanks a whole bunch for your support, and have a fantastic day. I'm gonna see you so soon.